Hello, everyone. You're with your host, Summer B, with the Self Awareness Podcast. I'm doing something new. I started this podcast in January, and now I want to expand. So I want to have a presence on TikTok and on YouTube. So if you're watching this for the first time, you're seeing the progress. You're seeing the progress. Came up with this idea to be on TikTok and get on YouTube after just really watching a lot of TikTokers and YouTubers focus on their passion and what they're talking about. I follow some TikTokers that talk about spirituality. I follow some TikTokers that just talk about education. I follow some TikTokers that talk about the mind. But I really haven't found a TikToker that really clicked with me, that really honed in on mental well-being, mental health. And if you want to see change in the world, you have to be the one to do it. And this is my passion. Started this podcast, like I said, really just 6 months ago, and I've already gotten great feedback. But I want to reach as many people as I possibly can that truly want to improve their mental well-being, see that there has to be some type of change in their life to be made, and everything starts right here. Nothing starts from out here, from your parents, from your grandparents, from your siblings, your pastor, any motivational speaker. No, starts from right here. You changing the way you think. So that's really what my podcast is focused on, and that's what my presence on YouTube and TikTok will be focused on. So moving forward, I'm going to record. You're gonna basically see me record my podcast. This is just how I'm doing it until I get me a good system going. So this podcast I'm about to record is centered around accountability. So I'm going ahead and get my mic started, and you might see me look down, you might see me look up, you might see me take a pause. It's really because I talk off the top of my head, and when I talk about these topics, I have a few notes, I have a few questions, and of course my quotes that I ask. But yeah, that's about it. So let's get started. Hello, everyone. So today's episode is going to be focused on really being honest with yourself and taking accountability for your actions. So we're going to start off with this quote. "The price of greatness is responsibility," by Winston Churchill. So I'm going to ask you 3 questions to get you thinking about accountability. Question 1. Do you hold yourself accountable for your actions? Question 2. Are you honest with yourself? And question 3. Do you self-reflect? So yeah, just think on those questions as we go throughout this episode. Just reflect on it. And if you're confused to what self-reflection is, I have a whole episode dedicated to self-reflection. It's episode 9. So please check that out. But self-reflection is really just what it is, reflecting on the way you think, the way you make decisions, and the actions that you've done that's either impacted yourself or other people. So I also want to define accountability for you. Being accountable is just a fact or condition of being accountable and taking responsibility. That's really all it is. It's actually pretty simple, but pride can get in the way. My mom always used to tell me, pride before the fall, as I was growing up, and that really just naturally led me to be more teachable to her, and just open to learning knowledge, and following her, because I always understood that if I walked around thinking I knew everything, or not being teachable, or not being honest about something, and just letting my pride or my ego get in the way, that's just going to hurt me in the long run. And when it comes to mental health and improving mentally, you have to really make decisions based off of yourself, and really based off of, do I want a better version of myself, yes or no? And you're making these decisions subconsciously, consciously, just really on a day-to-day with your actions that you do. So to really dig deep to the root of what you want to improve or what you want to discover about yourself, first you have to really just be honest about your actions. Honest and reflect on your actions and take accountability for what you have done. Sometimes you might have to apologize to others for your actions, or sometimes it's as simple as apologizing to yourself and giving yourself grace. Like, self, why did I put myself in that situation? I knew better, but I want to learn, I want to improve, I want to be accountable for this so I can grow from this. And so to me, to truly just start to have accountability, it takes being honest. It takes, like I said, self-reflection, and it also takes having the desire to improve. I feel like there's steps to accountability, because you can be honest about something that you've done. You can reflect on something that you've done, but you can also do these two steps and still do the same thing again. You see what I'm saying? Like, you can be honest, you can reflect, but if you don't have the desire to improve from what you've done, then it's basically like, yeah, I'm sorry, and then you go do it again. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I did that. I'm honest with that. I reflected on that, but yeah, I'm gonna go do it again. Yeah, no, it's like, don't even do it at that point. Like, don't even, you can keep your sorry if you're just gonna do it again. You feel me? So having the desire to improve is so key, because that's what's going to be able to drive you in those moments where you really have to sit down with yourself and say, okay, yeah, I did that. Yeah, I reacted badly. Yeah, I snapped for no reason. Yeah, I need to take a chill pill. Things like that. Like, it's hard. Like, taking accountability is like painful, and depending on what you've done, or even just with yourself. Like, I remember like some situations, and I just sit back and think to myself, like this is a bad story, but it just shows my growth. I laugh at it now, but I remember I was on like vacation, and I'm the only person that carried cash. Like, my nana always told me, like, summer carry cash, especially when we're going out of town. So I'm the only person that carried cash, and me and my friends would pull up to this like ice cream parlor. Only thing they accept is cash. All thing they accept is cash, and these ice creams go for about $7. And I just quit my job a week ago. Like, I wasn't balling like that, and I basically paid for everybody's ice cream, and they're like, they're gonna pay me back. But I was so scared to ask them to pay me back, you know what I'm saying? So I just never got paid back. And that seems kind of like, wow, like, what were you doing? Why did you do that? Why did you just speak up for yourself? But this is when back in my phase of, trying to be a perfectionist. So I didn't want to stuff on any toes. Like, it was crazy. I was on some different stuff. That's the whole point of me speaking to you guys, to show my growth, because like I said, I was on some different stuff. That was 2018. But actually 2019. That's 2019 me. But so basically, I thought about it as my mental health process started, and I started to self-reflect and take accountability for why I'm in the position that I'm in. I really had to dig deep into situations like that, where I allow myself to be taken advantage of. But some people might say, well, that's the other person's fault. Well, no, I did not develop healthy boundaries within myself to say, hey, yeah, I can pay for your ice cream, but I'm gonna need my money back. No, I just let it slide, and out of fear, I didn't communicate properly. I was young, gotta give yourself grace, but I had to be accountable for that. I can't just sit here and point the finger at everybody else and complain. I have to take accountability for not having boundaries and not sticking up and communicating properly. So this is kind of how accountability works when it comes to being accountable with yourself. like I said, it's painful. Like, ooh, this is embarrassing. But it helps for growth. Because now I know how to communicate my boundaries easily. I just nicely, set them up where I know it's healthy for myself, and I communicate that with others respectively as well, and I respect their boundaries. That's what a good healthy relationship does. So true growth, I'm gonna keep it a buck. If you're trying to grow, which in life you should always be trying to grow, no matter at stage in life that you're at. Like, you should be always working to grow, because when something's not growing, it's dead. So let's always grow. Let's always learn something new every day. But true growth within yourself, mentally, cannot happen in your life until you are accountable. You really cannot just sit here and gaslight not only people but yourself and expect for you to be at a higher place, doing this, doing that, if you haven't dealt with what you need to deal with. You can't elevate to a certain level if you haven't grown in certain areas. You can't grow if you're not accountable. And sometimes people are really just stagnant and stay at the same level. They think they're growing. They think they doing this, they're doing that. But no, you're technically really stagnant. We're going through the same life lessons, going through the same tests, and staying in the same thought process and staying stagnant because they aren't being accountable for what they've done in life. And honestly, it's sad. It's really sad. Because it's hard. It's hard being accountable. But it's also freeing. I think one of the biggest things that really opened my eyes to why it's important to be accountable is really relationships. And I'm not even talking about like romantic relationships. I'm talking about relationships with parents. Like, no cap. You know what I'm saying? Like, just seeing how having a parent, because no matter what you've gone through, everybody has some type of level of childhood trauma, and to have a parent sit down with you, communicate to you like, yeah, I messed up on that, I wasn't all the way right back then, however, what can I do, and how can I help you go through this process to heal? And just, I want to apologize. That is so powerful. Them taking accountability for what has transpired and, just validating your truth. And then not only does it, I feel like it's mutually beneficial because it helps the child to start to heal, and they have the choice. Now the ball is in their court to forgive, to heal, and go through that work. And then also the ball is in the parents' court to also for them to, heal themselves as well, so they both can grow. And now you have a bond where at once, it might have been, hard to connect, and now you're stronger than ever because y'all both the parents taking accountability, and then the child took accountability to start the healing and the forgiving, and then now they're both in a great place working towards being not the best version of themselves and having that great child-parent relationship. But I can just imagine just seeing some of my associates just go through, life, and, they're trying to communicate what they've gone through, their childhood trauma, and their parents just looking at them like they're crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, you try to communicate to them, well, you not being here for me in this instance hurt me in this instance, and then just be like, well, it is what it is. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's not helpful. And both, but the person that's not being accountable, you're actually hurting yourself as well, because you're not really acknowledging certain deeper rooted issues that need to be addressed for you to grow. And it is a harder pill to swallow for the child not getting that validation from the parent. However, the work still needs to be done to push through. And you also got to understand, like, people truly love and truly think a certain way based off of the level of the best that they can, really. Like, there's a simple saying, when you know better, you do better. In some instances, that is the case. Because if you truly know, think about it like this. If you truly know, the truest form of loving yourself is being, in my opinion, it's a lot of things. But step one is being honest with yourself. So if you cannot be honest with yourself and be accountable of your actions, you gotta really think, do you truly love yourself? Honestly. Because if you truly love yourself, you're going to push yourself. You're going to make sure you're doing everything you possibly can to improve, to be the best version of yourself. Because you love yourself, you know that you're worth it. And if you're not doing that work, and if you're in communication with somebody that's not doing that work, they're not being accountable, you don't sit here and, pop off on them. Be patient with them, or if you choose to, and just understand, like, they are really going through the process of truly finding themselves and loving themselves. Because like I said, truly loving yourself is being honest with yourself. It's being honest with your actions and remaining accountable for everything that you do, so you can improve yourself and improve relationships that you have with others. Like I said, it can be hard, but it will always, not being accountable will limit you. So instead of choosing the option of limitation, of falling, of hurt, of just having a hard time, let's just choose, even though it is harder in the narrow path of being accountable sometimes, let's choose that, because in the long scheme of things, that's going to make me the best version of myself and a great person that I have desired in my life, and align with the goals that I want to achieve. That's kind of how I think about it. You may think about it differently, but do what's best for you. Like, legitimately, when people are going through certain things, I give my advice, I give my little 2 cents, but at the end of the day, I always end with, do what's best for you, do what's true to you. And honestly, get into that true core version of yourself. One of the biggest things is to be accountable. And also, being accountable is also powerful, because you really reap what you sow. And you really, if you reap, accountability, then you're going to reap a harvest of peace, patience, joy, love, kindness. You know what I'm saying? Because you're constantly self-examining and self-reflecting on your actions, so you can reap those things. In order, like I said in my peace episode, you have to choose peace. So how do you choose peace? You have to really figure out, why am I not feeling peaceful? What things have I done that have allowed me not to feel peaceful? And taking accountability for what you've done, reflecting on your actions, seeing how can I add this piece into my life? What am I missing? Being patient, because things don't happen overnight. It's the small progress that you see over time that leads you to the big rewards. So just being patient with yourself and just having joy. Again, it's a choice. All of this, remaining accountable, having peace, having love, being patient with yourself, joy, all of this is a choice. You choose what you want at the end of the day. Either you doing it consciously or subconsciously. But I'd rather do this consciously. I'd rather not my subconscious be on drive and controlling everything, because my subconscious, if I'm not consciously controlling my mind and my subconscious, no wonder what she would do. You know what I'm saying? So I want to continue to consciously train my subconscious to do the right thing. So I can get to a point in my mind where I go through a certain situation and say if I don't want to be accountable. My subconscious mind like, nope, we love ourselves, so we're going to really self-examine in the situation where we can improve. And I also want to emphasize, do not complain if you're not willing to change. I'm going to let that marinate. Do not constant complain unless you are willing to change. Because honestly, what is that going to do? You know, a lot of people on the internet just get up here and complain about this, complain about that, complain about this, complain about that. But at the end of the day, we as human beings can only control so much. I can only control so much. So if I'm going to complain, I'm complaining to figure out a solution. I'm complaining to, you know, get I guess rant in a sense. But if you keep continuously doing this constantly, no, this isn't going to reap a harvest of joy. You know what I'm saying? At a certain point, like I said, has to be some type of accountability. Has to be some type of accountability. And honestly, it's one of the most beautiful things. You know, my journey to mental healing, I guess, clarity, purpose, all of that, all started with me first being honest, second self-reflecting, like a lot of self-reflecting. You know, there would be nights where I'm deep in thought, deep in situations, you know, a lot of self-reflecting. And then also accountability, you know, having hard conversations with people, and sometimes I'm apologizing, you know, sometimes I'm like, you know, I could have said that differently, I could have handled that differently. What can I do differently so this won't happen again? Or sometimes I'm having that same conversation with myself, like, dang, in this situation I didn't handle that well, I didn't communicate that well, I wasn't thinking right. Where does this come from? What is the true root of this? How can I heal and move forward from this? And you start thinking like that, especially consciously, like when it's like automatic, it's over. It's over. It's just, life is just so, you know, it's so cool to me. Like just going through the journey. It's not easy, of course, but sometimes I'm starting to get used to, you know, liking life at a challenge. You know, like just enjoying the challenge, because like even like this podcast, I mean, like doing this YouTube thing is a challenge for me. Like I'm really pushing myself outside my comfort zone. I remember there was a point when on social media where I would not post at all for years. And you might be asking yourself, why don't you post? And it was because like I just couldn't take a good picture, even though the pictures were fine. But in my head, I was like, this isn't a good picture, so I would rather just not post at all. And now I'm sitting here like recording myself, you know, trying to be a YouTuber / TikToker. Like it's funny how life works. But yeah, I just really want to again ask you these 3 questions to get you reflecting on if you're accountable, and if you are accountable, what are some ways we can continue to what are some things that we can say can continue to remind us to be accountable. All right, so question 1, do you hold yourself accountable for your actions? Question 2, are you honest with yourself? And then question 3, do you self-reflect? So if you can answer those questions honestly, if you feel like you're not all the way where you want to be, take it situation by situation, day by day, and I'm telling you that small progress over time and you're gonna look back and see like, wow, I really came from that. You know, like I said, I will not be paying for anybody's meals or anything unless, and they say they pay me back, and I'm just not going to say anything. Like, no. Like, if I'm paying for something, it's like, now if I'm paying for something for somebody, it's like, oh, I'm covering it, like, I got it, But if I'm paying for you, and if under the circumstance that you're paying me back, and I say you're paying me back, best believe I'm going to communicate that now. I'm not going to repeat 2019. Not going to do that. We have learned and grown from that. But I'm happy I went through that. Like, I'm grateful I went through that, because it really emphasizes now for me to communicate and advocate for myself. So we're going to end with this quote. Taking personal accountability is a beautiful thing because it gives us complete control of our destinies, by Heather Schuck. She said it perfectly. It gives you control of your destiny. Because how can you get to a certain place without reflecting where you've gone already? You know what I'm saying? So continue to hold yourself accountable. Share this episode. I'm going to list all the different ways you can interact with this episode through the website, through Facebook, through Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. I'm going to try my best to really, advocate for mental well-being across all age groups, so we can all continue to grow mentally, so we can just thrive in life. All right, y'all have a wonderful day, and if you're listening to this on a Wednesday, have a wonderful Wellness Wednesday, and take care.